Yeah, we're live in the morning, 8:28. So wake up, get to work, or get your projects done. Do something productive. Come on, be a productive part of society. Today we're going to talk about big blocks. We're going to be a little shortened today. I've got the meeting that I have to get to, but we have a big block Chevy, and it's a junkyard Gen 6 big block Chevy that we added a 671 blower to. So we made a few modifications to it first. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about what happens after we put the blower on. And then we ran it with a bunch of different pulley varieties, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. So we'll talk about what happened to boost and then what happened to power as we go up and up and up and swapping the pulleys around. That's kind of the nice thing about the blower, is that the 671 blower uses the same crank and blower pulley, so the stuff is just kind of interchangeable. So you got a bunch of different combinations that you can run on the big block, which is very, very cool. So we ran a Gen 6 big block, and we ran it first bone stock, the way that we do. I normally put a dual plane intake manifold on it, and a distributor, and a carburetor on it, and then we run it with long tube headers, the way that we do with the Zero electric water pump stuff. They normally make it in the 375 range or so. 375 horsepower. And then on this one, what we did was we installed a set of Speedmaster aluminum heads on it. They were 320s, I think, as cast ones. And then we also put a comp cam in it. This one was Extreme Energy 271. So what it was a higher lift version of the cam that we normally put in there. So it was a 591 610 lift, a 224 230 degree duration, and 112 degree load separation angle. And then we put the dual plane back on and put the 650 back on it. We used a Speedmaster dual plane on this thing because it was a Speedmaster thing. And so we ran that combination, upgrading and retaining the stock Gen 6 short block, basically. The one thing is the Speedmaster heads had a much bigger combustion chamber, so they probably flowed better than a stock head, but they also lowered the compression, because the factory Gen 6 head has ours had 102 cc combustion chamber. These were like 119 or so. So it was a big change in combustion chamber size. But with the cam and heads, this thing still made more power. This combination made 469 horsepower and 508 foot-pounds. So we gained nearly 100 horsepower, let's say, from the heads and cam combination. And then what we did after that was we took the dual plane intake manifold off and carburetor, and then we put on the lower blower manifold. So it had a dedicated kind of short runner blower manifold. And then we put on the 671 blower. All of that was easy to bolt on, just like putting doing an intake manifold swap basically on a big block. But the blower is a lot heavier than most intake manifolds you're going to run across, with the exception possibly of a Ford FE iron intake manifold or something like that. The blower is fairly heavy, but and especially if you have the carburetors on it. We ran one 650 on the NA combination, and then we ran two 950s with the blower. We could run 750s on this, especially at this power level, two 750s on the blower, but the 950s are what we had from Holley, and that they worked out great. And what we did was install the blower, install the carburetors, got the linkage hooked up, got all that working, and then we started off with a pulley combination. We used a 50 tooth blower pulley, or a 50 tooth crank pulley, and a 60 tooth blower pulley. So we were underdriving the blower quite a bit. And that produced a peak or a starting boost of 2.3 pounds and a peak boost of just 4 pounds, so 4.1 pounds. So the boost varied from 2.3 up to 4.1, slightly rising boost curve on the 671 with that pulley combination. And that pushed power up to 545 horsepower and 540 foot-pounds of torque. So it did good, 4 pounds of boost, not really very much. And then we juggled our pulleys. We kept the 60 tooth blower pulley, and then went up in the crank pulley size. So we sped the blower up a bit. We went to a 55 tooth crank pulley, and that produced a peak of 5.5 pounds. So the boost went from 3.3 to 5.5, again, a rising boost curve. And the power jumped up about 40 horsepower to 586 horsepower. and 568 foot-pounds of torque. So we went up about a pound and a half or so, 1.4 psi, and we picked up about 40 horsepower. So that was good. So next we changed both the pulleys. We put a 48 tooth crank pulley on it and a 50 tooth blower pulley on it, and that pushed peak boost up to 6.1 pounds. So about a half a pound change, 6/10 of a pound from four. The climbing boost curve started out at 4 pounds and then went up to 6.1. That brought us up to 605 horsepower and 581 foot-pounds. Then we swapped those two. So we put the bigger pulley on the crank and the smaller pulley on the blower. So we went to a 50 tooth crank pulley and a 48 tooth blower pulley, sped it up again. And this time the peak boost jumped from 6.1 to 7.8 pounds. So the boost started out at 5 pounds and rose to a peak of 7.8 pounds. And the combination produced 634 horsepower and 607 foot-pounds. And then the final pulley combination that we ran was a 55 tooth crank pulley and a 50 tooth blower pulley. That produced 9 pounds, 9.1 pounds. And that ultimately produced 653 horsepower and 625 horsepower. Now we could have done, there were a lot more pulley combinations and a lot more boost that we could run on this combination. That blower would certainly support more. The 671 blower was from the blower shop, and they make excellent products. The blower shop is definitely the place to go if you're looking for, root style blowers. They do a good job. And the 671 had a lot more left in it. We could have run, with our pulley combinations that we could have run a 60 tooth crank pulley and a 48 tooth blower pulley, which would have brought a lot more boost with it and a lot more power. This 671 made almost 1,000 horsepower on a different combination. So it had the airflow to support that. This was a fairly mild big block. Again, a Gen 6 from the wrecking yard. Still worked fairly well because it had reasonable head flow on it and a reasonable camshaft. On the camshaft, there's a limit on the big block and actually on most of these factory combinations, there's a limit to how much camshaft it will accept in terms of usually in terms of duration, because that's the thing that holds the valve open and creates the problem with piston to valve clearance. We could go with more cam than this, but this was this 224 cam seemed like it worked fairly well for a lot of these Gen 6 big block deals that I did, and it worked good on this blower. It is obviously a blower cam, and adding a 671 obviously adds presence to any big block, especially and this is the way that we normally run it. We normally run them with dual carburetors. In this case, it had dual Holley 950 XP carburetors, which are good carburetors, and more than enough carburation to feed that blower, and especially more than enough carburation to feed that blower and 650 horsepower. I mean, we could have done that easily with one of these carburetors. It might have been interesting to disconnect one of them and just run one of them. That's a test I had done before previously on another combination. I did it on a small block, and we, instead of running dual carburetors, we just ran a single carburetor, and it's on that small block, it still made the same amount of power. So one carburetor was more than enough to feed, and it was a 950. It was more than enough to feed what we were doing on that small block. But this combination worked good, and it was very cool to get. I like doing tests like this with blower stuff because it's easy to swap pulleys around, particularly on the 671. It's just unbolt the blowers and put them on. It's very, very simple. It's a cog belt. We never had to change the length of the belt. We use the same belt for all of the stuff. And all you do is just, it's got a little sliding tensioner on it. We just slide the tensioner over to take up the belt slack. And on a cog belt like that, you don't need a bunch of tension on it. It just basically needs to be over there kind of touching it, and with a little bit of tension on it. You don't need to tension them like you do on these serpentine belts. But this all worked great. And the carburetors that we use for the blower were blower specific carburetors. They were designed for or metering. Their metering was designed for this blower application, and they work well. We didn't boost reference them for this test. We could have, but we did not. We just jetted them, and they worked out great. In fact, the jetting worked great right out of the box. I don't think we even played with jets. I don't think we ever played with jets on these. I think we ran them right out of the box. We didn't do any jetting on these. These things work great right out of the box, which was interesting because we didn't do any boost referencing on them, but it worked good. And so this combination good, 650 horsepower. You know, that's not a ton anymore. That when people think about that, hey, it's so easy to make 1,000 horsepower. We could do all this kind of stuff, but on a, you know, with a blown big block, the blower sticking out of the hood and stuff, and this is more than enough power to you know, to do ice cream and donuts if that's what you want to do. So I recommend everybody should have a big blower like that, you know, at least once in their life on something. No matter what you put it on, it's impressive. No matter what engine family you put it on, it always works great. So we'll see what you guys got going on this morning. We're here early. That's right. We are. It's morning time. Morning chat. I go into my physio appointments. Good excuse to get shawarma. ZL1's in the house. What's going on? Overdrive the blower 22%, and it should have made decent power. That would be a lot. Yep. You want the lower blower to look like a wagon wheel, and the crank pulley to look like a wagon wheel, and the blower to look like a thimble. Then that spins it really fast. 60-48 would be 25%. Yep. Had to turn Pink Floyd off. Wow. A moment of silence. When is the next upload coming, and what will it be about? I don't know yet. I think carbureted blow through stuff. Putting an 871 on a K24, that's ambitious. Where will you put it? Working my real job today, pool service technician. Got half of my cold side done on the turbo and the old Dodge wagon. So so let me know. You guys probably know I have got my refrigerator downstairs is making a surging noise. I cleaned off the vents and stuff to help with the cooling, but I don't know if it's do the pumps or something go out on those refrigerators? What's the deal on that? I haven't pulled it out from the wall to see what's going on, but it's making a noise, and so I figure I'm gonna have to tear into it and be a refrigerator mechanic. I think the 871 is bigger than the K24. It probably is. That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering how all that's going to package and what vehicle that's going to package in. Clean the condenser coils first. Where are those at? Are those in the back? I mean, I cleaned the I think I cleaned the condenser coils in the front already. Just reading up. And I'm reading. In the background, the bottom. Yeah, these are on the bottom behind the grate. I cleaned that stuff off. Buy a new one. Yeah, I know. That's always the answer. You hit it with a hammer and that fixed it? Clean the intercooler on your refrigerator. Yeah. Because we have golden retrievers, so there's a lot of hair involved in that. Those dogs. It's like walking. We have hardwood floors. And it's like walking in a Western show. Tumbleweeds rolling across the ground and stuff. Got to keep that stuff clean. So we got to have a pole, right? It was a 671 blower, the ultimate form of forced induction. The ultimate. I should have put the best. That'd been better. Or I should have put what are your thoughts on the best form of forced induction. Clean your fan, condenser coils. Clean the intercooler. In 1953, Westinghouse fridge died in 2022. Uh-oh. I sent you the flow data for the G10 with a very mild cleanup. I'll send you the new data with the heads, or when the heads are done, larger valves are in place. Cool. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. They're around the back of the fridge. Okay. I'm sure it's got, like I said, the area that I cleaned under the front grate was definitely full of stuff. I find it funny when girls on dating profiles describe themselves as golden retrievers. What is it? I haven't never been on a dating site. I don't know what that is. My dogs are okay. My cat leaves tumbleweeds. It's about time to shave the cat. Yeah, these golden retrievers have a lot of hair. RPM air gap versus a Victor Jr. What is your question? On what application? What's the motor? What's the cam? What's the displacement? All of that stuff. And unless it's a very high RPM thing with lots of stall converter, I would almost always pick the RPM air gap. That, that's the test, Dan. That's how you tell. LG is a bad brand. Uh-oh. 671 seems like a nostalgic, inefficient blower that only provides an intimidation factor. Wow, throwing shade on the 671. Normally it means they have a ton of energy and they are extroverted. Okay, my dogs definitely have that, especially as puppies. They have lots of endless amount of energy. They're always ready to go for a walk. Small block Chevy Jag Race 8th mile 388 236 242 at 50. Turner, I would be curious to see 388. You're kind of right in the middle between the two. If I was going to do an RPM air gap, I'd do one with a carb spacer on it. How high are you revving that thing? A 236 cam can't make on a 388 can't make power past 65 or 6600 probably. Across the stripe at 7,000. Yeah, but it's on a 236 cam. It can't be making power very high though. So let's go to small block Chevy Stroker 383. How big was this cam? This was small cam though. Yeah, that's a 218 cam. That's smaller. That's got to be a mild one. Oh, here we go. Here is a dual plane versus a single plane. Okay, yeah, this is kind of what I thought was going to happen here. This is a that's a 410 though. That's a lot. That's got a big cam in it, so never mind on that. That crossover was 5,000, but where the single plane was better. But that was a 410-inch motor making 650 horsepower though. That was a good one. this is a 242 cam. Even this one's making peak power at 65 or 6600. This is a 572 or a 372 and not a 388. So this got a bigger cam than that. I'm still thinking that the dual plane is going to be a better way to go. What's the difference between a dog and a girlfriend? The dog stops making noise when you let her inside. So with the EPA crackdown on tuning, will people go back to carburetors? I don't have Goldens, but my dogs are, yeah, dogs are awesome. What's the point of an alternator harness on a Holley Terminator X Max? Not sure if you're familiar, but it's an aftermarket add-on to the harness. Is it so that you can put a specific kind of alternator on it? Is Pomona this weekend? My top fuel friend called me yesterday and needs to fix his tow rig before he heads down there. Makes peak power at 6,000. Okay. Run second out of the back of the track. If I short shift to third, it loses. Yeah, probably for an 1/8 mile thing, probably a change in the final drive would help that a lot. Well, I love blowers. Sequential or compound turbos are probably the best. Made 379 to the tire on the chassis dyno. Cool. My dogs still make noise when I let them inside. My dogs are still pretty excited when we get back from a run or a walk. Would an M112 work on a Gen 6 big block? Yeah, it has enough power to, I mean, it has enough flow to support a small amount of power on there. I mean, if you put an M112 on a stock Gen 6 big block, then yeah, I mean, that motor only makes 375 horsepower. So the blower could easily add, more than 100 horsepower, more than 200 horsepower, probably to that if you really spun it. So where are we at? Is a 671 roots blower the ultimate form of force induction? 80% saying no. That's how we do it. I do like the way that they look. Although wrestling them up and sticking up on the thing is kind of a pain. And then it's nice if you have the studs, but then the studs are aluminum though, or yeah, I think they're aluminum. So they make it so that you don't tighten them down too much and warp the housing and break it, because the guys do that and make it so the rotors don't spin. What does Richard Holder think of supercharging a diesel with a blower? I'm probably the wrong guy to ask about blowers. I mean, not blowers, but diesel motors, because I haven't really done a lot with them. But even diesel motors respond to boost as long as you can get more fuel to it. Blowing big block with 500 horsepower, that's when you don't race people that act like it's not worth your time. Yeah, you could do that. I mean, or if that's an ego thing, I guess. But I look at it the other way. I look at it like if you have a Gen 6 big block with a carburetor or whatever on it, and it only made 375 horsepower, and you added 100 to it, that's just nothing but good. So now it's better. I need to hit the lottery, making money and sinking it all back into the work truck. Has my projects on hold. That's not good. Richard, I remember you saying at one point you put a supercharger on a big block and a tow rig. Yeah, we had a 454 and we put one of those 174 blowers on it. A 174 or a 177. I can't remember. It was one of those. It was one in the 170s somewhere. Were you able to run pump gas on it? Yeah, we did run pump gas on it. And what was the compression? It was low. It was, since that was a mid 70s, I'm thinking that was probably in the 8s. It works with the stock 2-pin or 4-pin alternators for an LS. I just know it connects between the alternator and the power tap on the ECU. The harness from Holley doesn't come with a plug for the alternator. Yeah, we don't ever hook that up on the engine dyno, so I don't know what that is. Think of running a compound setup on the square body. Only thing holding me back is the wastegate placement. It's 2 feet from the turbo. When will you port an update on? When will you post an update on the ported M90? After I test it. I haven't been down there to test it yet. Can't wait to try a boosted launch. It's holding 2 psi. Oh, on the 2-step, it's holding 2 psi. Cool. Wouldn't say a full tilt ported, but did smooth out the 1.9 Eaton and the snout, running 2.5 upper and 917 lower pulleys, 14 pounds. We know that the 1.9 definitely responds to porting. And is that on a 6.2 ragtop? 6 deuce? 6 deuce Impala? 6.4 Impala. Didn't Banks run a supercharger on it? Didn't he run a Whipple or something on a diesel? And didn't he run a turbo on it also? I didn't watch all of the video. Oh, so he made it bigger? Okay. 6.8. Clean the fan inside the back. Sometimes it collects a lot of dust and throws the fan off balance. Mine did that noise and fixed it. Okay. I'll have to pull it out and see. I thought that the underneath, when I found the grate underneath and then found the what I thought were cooling fins or something under there, I cleaned all that off, but I'll have to do the back too. I'm sure, looking at how bad this was underneath, although this would definitely get more than the back would, because this is all at ground level where all the tumbleweeds are. Seems no matter how much we vacuum and rake and sweep and mop, it's always a lot. Instant torque from a blower. Is it worth effort to add a water to air intercooler under a blower, assuming the engine is fuel injected after the blower? Yes, intercooling is always a good idea. I bought the wrong turbos for my 440 LSX twin turbo 6762. I know it won't reach peak performance, but can I run them? I can't return them, so my goal is 1,000 horsepower. Twin 67s will get you to 1,000 horsepower. You tried blowing the turbo into the blower and it actually hurt power really bad versus just the turbo. Why was it a problem blowing into the blower? Found a deal on a 2013 Jaguar. Cool. Black on black. Minor wreck. Salvage title. Yeah, those are good looking cars. The blower wasn't powerful enough to displace all the air the turbo was pushing. when you make the ported M90 video, were you going to keep the truck Norris cam? No, we'll run it the way that it was the last time we ran it for maximum power. So it will run again with the stage 4 cam and the intercooler, probably, just to see if we can max the thing out. Because a truck Norris cam is, if I just run a truck Norris cam on there, it's not going to max out the flow of the blower. We want to find out. You want to get to the point where the thing needs more flow. You want to get the flowage, full flow, all the flow. Brent, I don't understand your question. What do you think about a VW 2.5 liter 5-cylinder engine? I don't think I've ever done any testing with those. We've done testing with the 2.5 4-cylinder VW motors, but not the 5-cylinder one. I don't think I've done any testing with them. I think the issue was that the hot air caused the density to go up so much. It stopped flow. Somebody was telling me that somebody here was saying that the twin screw is not a good blower to run in a compound because of the internal compression. I haven't tried that. I would like to try it, see. Right now, my mind is not working. My mind is not saying that won't. It's saying that will work, but it could be that the internal compression would be a problem, and because then the resulting boost would be so high on the outlet side. But I know for a fact that if we increase the flow rate into the blower, which adding boost does do that you should increase the flow rate out of the blower, and it has on every other compound deal that we've done. So I'd like to try it on a Kenny Bell or something. Just at low boost, just run 7 pounds or whatever from the turbo blowing into the blower. Just run both of them at 7 pounds and kind of see what happens. I think that the boost would be sky high with a twin screw compound. I think so too. I think that it would be a lot. I think that that's part of the problem, but I still don't understand why it wouldn't work. I mean, I want it to work, as we always do. I want it to be good and perfect in every way possible, but not always the case. Earlier, I was looking at the flow rates of the 09 plus 5.7 heads with the 6.1 after a guy told me to scrap the Eagles for 6.1s. Eagle flow. Yeah, I thought that an Eagle head flowed more than a 6.1 head. And the stuff that I saw that Doug Glad did for Hot Rod or Carcraft, when he did the stuff on it, I thought that the Eagles were better. I don't get the odd cylinder numbers. How does it balance? Well, it's an inline motor, so it's balanced. LG had massive problems with their compressors. They came out and replaced ours for free. Last I thought the M90 made 620-ish after putting the ported M90 on. What do you think it could reach? I don't know. I don't know what the flow potential, what the maximum flow potential is of that. We did, on a big inlet and stuff. I'm hoping 700 would be a nice number. I don't know if it'll get there though. Richard, is it true that too free of a hot side is bad for a turbo because of over speeding it? I had a tech tell me that. I don't know what you mean by too free of a hot side. The thing that will overspeed the turbo is usually very, very high back pressure. .471s are very nostalgic. That's true. May have been an issue because 7 pounds is very undiesel-like. I think he was trying to put 48 pounds into it. And if there was a problem with that, if that's an inherent thing, uh, from a technical standpoint, I would think Gale would know that. Large boost leaks don't overspin a turbo. On the compressor side, it does. On the discharge side, but not on the hot side. I've seen the head on the 5-cylinder. Looks the same as a Lamborghini V10 head, so I'm wondering if it's related. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me that there would be technology crossover at the very least from that. I don't think that they would make it the Lamborghini thing because there would be no need to. There would be no need for them to try to get that specific output from their 5-cylinder. I doubt that it has the specific output that the Lamborghini version does. But like I said, it wouldn't surprise me that they would use similar castings or something. LS Stroker 671 swap. I've run 671s on LS motors. In fact, I ran this 671 that we ran on this big block. We also ran that same blower on I think it was on a 383 LS, but it worked good, as you would expect it to do. Because, that's what boost does. Boost is good. Boost is your friend. Richard, I mean, if you have a turbo vehicle and you remove the cats, etc., to help a restrict exhaust, he told me the turbo is designed with cat restrictions in mind. No, that's 100% not true. It will make the turbos better. When you get back around to making M112 on LS videos, I probably won't do that. Love to see ported heads, cam swap, intercooler, and a 2.6 pulley on E85 and see what the results are. What M112 did I run on an LS? They're very similar to the Lamborghini V12. It's based off of the Audi units, and Audi basically cut their 5-liter V10 in half for the 2.5-liter 5-cylinder. Well, that's good. The behavior of spinning a blower in vacuum versus atmosphere, extrapolate that out. Okay. I think compound twin screw would work, but I would like to see what happens with heat. Might need a big intercooler. Always go big as you can afford. Yeah, an intercooler under when we ran the compound deal on the 03 Cobra with the guys from HP, they had an intercooler after the turbo, before the blower, and then one after the blower too, because the blower had the factory one from the 03. It had air to water, and then they had air to air for the turbos. So it was twin cooled. That would be ideal. I think it would be better than having, and if I had my choice, I would rather have the intercooler after the last compressor. So after the blower, if you had turbos blowing through a blower, I'd rather have the intercooler after the blower, as long as it was sized enough. Ideally, I'd like to have both, but having intercooler after the turbo, but before the blower, I think it's still going to result in very high temperatures if there's no intercooler after the blower. I know back in the day, I had to gut the blower on the 671 two-stroke Detroit to blow the turbo through so that it wouldn't break the prop shaft to the blower at high RPM. I remember those. I remember guys showing me those, the two-stroke supercharged and turbocharged diesel, which was very, very cool. It had all the good stuff. Jay, what's going on? What are you doing, man? You got a question? I want to try. We have a Kenny Bell that we're going to run on a 5-liter Mustang coming up. So maybe that would be a good opportunity to run the blower like at 7 pounds or something, and then run a single turbo through it would be good. For dog biscuits, they would be very happy. We get the bones from Costco, and then I actually cut them in half so they give all, and then we give one to Milo. They all get one, so it's good. Thanks, man. I love how inline 5 engines sound extremely similar to V10s. So you're expecting a supercar. Buying race fuel for dyno runs. Yeah, that buys a lot of E85, right? Yeah, he just laid it down, man. Jay stepped up. He's baller. That's baller status. That's like a lot of gallons of E85. That's almost Bonneville Geo Metro money. That'd be good. I'll do a GoFundMe page or something for that, for the Metro program. So where are we at? 82%. It's pretty resounding big no on the ultimate form of forced induction. So we'll end our poll there because I got to get going here pretty quick in a couple minutes. You take EBT cars? No, but I take Hostess donuts from 7-Eleven though. Just the ultimate for being the ultimate, for being the best ever. Putting an M90 on my 3.5-liter V6 Challenger. Good. Building a mounting plate for it's going to be a challenge. Are you going to remote mount the blower and then blow into the factory intake, or are you replacing the factory intake? How are you doing that on that? Best looking for sure. But you got to have the clutch system. Abdullah, when are you? Thank you very much. But when are you planning to post some? It's been 2 months. I know I need to get a video back on, huh? I'm working on one today. Nowadays, I spin when flat on my back under car, so I mostly just maintain fluids and stuff. I have great respect for the old school guys who still wrench. Love seeing the blowers. Yeah, the 671's cool. Brule really likes those. They're kind of old school carbureted guys, I think. I've obviously not the chassis dyno side is a different group, but Brule and the owner and stuff. That's they are old school guys. It's pretty cool. Electromagnetic, yep, that's good. Roots blower is definitely the ultimate cool factor. Replacing factory upper intake, it's going to be top mounted. Okay, it looks better, I think, if it's in the V of the engine where God and nature intended it to be. Bring the old music back. I can't. That's actually licensed music. So somebody bought that, and so I can't use it anymore. Abdullah, what is AED? What is that designation for? But thank you again. Like the video, 671s are cool, but the Garrett G Series GTX Gen 2 spool up so fast without losing air efficiency that they're like a supercharger. On power delivery, 20 psi at 3200 on a 2J with the GTX 3071R. The newer Garrett stuff really is good. I mean, any chance you do a Big Bang Force 7 power tech for the other guys? Probably not a big bang on one of those, but it might be good to run one. Start using a new music theme. I do need to get new music. Small block Ford can be the new music. Arab Emirates. Okay. The Dubai currency. Okay, cool. And that's the awesome thing about this is that I get to talk with people all around the world, and I think that that's awesome. We had guys here from Russia, and we got New Zealand and Australia, Arab Emirates. That's awesome. That's all very cool. It's cool that car guys all around the world get together. I think that's an awesome thing. Non-related car, Richard. I know you've been writing for quite a while. What was the best thing you did to improve your writing skill? Mine's poor. I'd like to improve it. More writing. That's the best thing you could do, and also a lot of reading. If you read and you read stuff that's very good, you will try to emulate that, and then write a lot. And I've written a lot. The one thing that I didn't do that I should have done was I should have taken typing because I'm terrible at typing. And you need to write a lot and read a lot. $68. Nice. That's he stepped up. That's because Jay set the bar. And then Abdullah stepped up his game and said, hey, I'll see that. And I will raise you. Garrett, GTX or Borg Warner EFR? Yes, both of those are good, right? I think it'd be more important than choosing between those two is choosing the right one of those to get it to work. And on that note, I do have to go. I have a meeting, but I will be back tonight, and I'm working on another video today because it's time to get regular videos back up. I agree. I'll see you guys all later.